In this tutorial, we'll review how to share and protect content using permissions in Fusion Data Intelligence, or FDI. Sharing a copy of your workbook allows you to maintain the original version in your personal folder for version control, while also sharing a copy for collaboration or consumption by others. For this tutorial, I'll be working with a custom workforce composition workbook, which I navigated to from the home page. I'll enter the workbook in author mode. In my workbook, I need to select the Save drop-down and select Save As. This saves a copy of my current workbook. This will open a dialog where I can add more information. I'll go ahead and give this copy a prefix to identify the author. I can use the naming conventions set by my organization. It is important to note that the location a workbook is saved in will affect who can have access to it. For this example, I need to take this workbook from my personal folder back into the shared folder. So I'll select All and then select Shared Folders to make the switch. In order to move content into one of the shared folders, I need to have read and write access to that particular folder. Otherwise, I can't save anything to it. All I need to confirm or change my permissions is to speak with my administrator. If I don't have the permissions to add a workbook to a shared folder, Save will be grayed out. When I open a shared folder that I have read-write access to, Save is no longer grayed out. I'll select Save so that a copy of this workbook is now saved in shared folders. I'll confirm this when I return to the catalogue, opening Shared Folders, then Collaboration folder to see the copy available there. Now that the copy is in a shared folder, there is one final step to ensure those who need the workbook have the appropriate permissions to access it. In shared folders, I'll use the secondary context menu to select Inspect to modify who has share and access permissions on this workbook. For this tutorial, I'll focus on the Share and Access tabs. I'll look at what Share can do first. In the Share tab, I can determine whether the workbook can be entered in author mode. I can give workbook permissions to individual users or users with application roles. For each selection, I can modify their ability to edit or view. Edit allows users to enter the workbook in author mode, edit the workbook, and save the changes to their own copy of the workbook. They cannot make changes directly to the shared copy. View only allows users to open the workbook as a consumer. They cannot enter the workbook as an author. Unless there is a specific user that needs access, it's generally recommended to share to roles. Now I'll explore the Access tab. Access determines whether the workbook content can be overwritten or just viewed. Read-write allows users to make changes directly to the shared workbook, effectively overwriting it. Read-only allows users only to view the shared workbook without allowing them to modify the shared workbook. I'll look at an example of sharing with a user. I'll search for my colleague, Casey Brown, and give her edit access. By default, she will have the lowest privilege permissions, meaning view for share and read-only for access, which means Casey can only view this workbook. It's important to note that permissions that are explicitly granted to a user override any inherited permissions or privileges. I want to share this workbook with Casey so that she can make changes to her own copy of it without modifying the shared version. To achieve this, she needs edit permissions for share and read-only for access. If I wanted her to be able to overwrite the workbook, I would need to keep the same edit for share permissions, but give her read-write for access. Find more videos in this series and additional resources on using Fusion Data Intelligence in the links below.